Yeah, here we are, bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres. It's our blue Zerg player playing for Team NV. This is Dongrigu.
And at the top right, ladies and gentlemen, from Alpha X, looking to try and make it into the GSL. His first time trying to qualify in the red trunks. He is Astrea.
Ooh, okay, so we don't see this as... Okay, never mind. I don't know where my brain was for a moment. I was just about to say, oh, we don't see this as often in a ZVT having to take the third base location, but it's literally Astrea! Literally a Protoss player on the screen a second beforehand. I don't understand how my brain works, and you can't ask me to explain it. I will be taking no further questions at this time.
Yeah, as we did have the pro block onto that natural hatchery, so very nice there from Astrea. Is just going to be able to force DRG to take that hatchery at the third base location, which every Zerg sees like, oh, okay, here we go again. I know the song and dance. All right, now you're going to try and apply pressure to my third at some point. Gosh.
God, it's almost as if it's like a solid opening choice here for Protoss. Man, how crazy is that? But yeah, I think Astrea is the kind of person that definitely brings an interesting element to ZVP. I think every different region has maybe let's call it a different approach to ZVP. I think obviously North America, where Astrea's skills have been forged and honed, I mean, it's a little bit more aggressive. It's a little bit more of a focus into getting some of those Sky units out a little bit faster. We definitely see lots of Stargate openers. Although I will admit, in 2022, it feels like we're seeing a lot less Void Ray centered openings, getting back into kind of PvZ roots, going for an Oracle opening, maybe even getting up to 2 or 3 before switching into a ground army. But leave it to Astrea to maybe blaze his own path here, deciding whether or not Void Rays are going to be useful to him here in this matchup. We'll have to see once that Stargate is completed. But it is going to be a pretty standard macro opening for DRG, picking up that third base. And like you said, now Astrea can capitalize on that third base being the natural location, using the Adept here to harass in a little bit more annoying way.
Yeah, so far, though, hasn't been able to really find much of anything with it. Good pulls on the drones by DRG. Astrea, though, just going to commit a little bit further in. A great morph into a Spore Crawler twice over. Third one not going to have to. And DRG avoiding all the damage there. Of course, you get a little bit of minerals, from the fact that you had to cancel. But that's really a minor amount. It's like 7 minerals or something like that. But of course, the 50 minerals lost from that singular Zerg as you go down. And interestingly enough, this is something that me and Bam have talked about on the North America ESL broadcast on the B stream. Astrea is one of those few players that are left that still like to open with the Void Ray to clear out Overlords and then goes into an Oracle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it seems to be exactly what's happening here. So this is going to work out to his advantage. I mean, it clears a lot of the information out of the front side of his base. So now we got a third base coming in here, and with the Oracle coming down, this might not necessarily be thought of. I mean, right now there are queens out at the natural. There is a Spore at the main as well. So this seems relatively defended, and it's not going to be a big air toss or sky toss rather investment at this point. Twilight Council and Forge going down right on schedule here. DRG with a nice defense here against this Oracle so far. Just going to drone up.
Oracle dives on in, gets a singular drone. So far, not really being able to find too much success. Just a revelation put down on the main base, so that Astrea at least has somewhat of an idea what is going on. And we'll see that layer. And of course, that is just in time with the Roach Warren, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. However, we are going to see those additional gas be popped down to 5, so we're going to be going up to 6 gas very, very quickly here for DRG. Meaning he's probably going to want to hit a very strong Roach count before he does end up taking that 4th base. As Stasis Ward will go down, but obviously, well, there's a Sport Crawler there, so that can be seen. No longer stealth. And what you get there is just a little bit of a drone pull from the Zerg. Astrea on the other side, though, charge +1 Templar Archives is going to be working on everything that the Protoss likes to work on, and that's going to be heading into this charge lot, Archon, and I would assume some sort of splash damage alongside of it, whether it be just the Storm, or you also get into Disruptors or Colossus.
And this Oracle is going to try and find some additional damage here. Does get dangerously low, but is going to escape. And look at this, an infestation pit at the 6-minute mark here for DRG. I think we figured out what some of that gas might be going into, Titan. Maybe we're going to get some Swarm Host play here. I mean, just about the only thing left here would be the Nidus network.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Of course, with the Nidus, you don't need to even get into a hive or get the infestation pit. So I think this might be, I think you might be right. This could be Swarm Host here for Dongregyu. I don't really have any other inkling as to what this could be used for. The 4th hatchery is going down. We will see what is placed down or what is built. And there it is, 7 Swarm Hosts. It's been a while since we've gotten the Swarm Hosts. They have a very niche position in the meta now, and really even then, they're not used very often. But Dongregyu says, hey, listen, I feel like in this matchup right now, I can use the Swarm Host, and we'll see how successful that will be. Right now, his Roach count, not the highest. It's only at 12 versus the army that Astrea is bringing forward. It's not going to be the easiest defense to make, but he's still going to go for it anyway. The +1 is finished up for the Protoss. The Zerg, though, has no such luxury, is already half health on this hatchery. Dongregyu has to be so careful, but now has a Swarm Host here. He's going to pop out those Locusts, and Astrea is just going to have to back on out.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very bold choice here by DRG, feeling very confident that he could defend that 4th base. Still had a chance to cancel it, and is going to be able to push away the main army for right now, but he does show his hand. He sees, or Astrea is able to see the Swarm Host here. Ooh, Roach is a little bit move of command, not quite getting the value that they could. A few more Swarm Hosts on the production tab, but I feel especially without a Nidus network to help move these Swarm Hosts around the map, you really need to benefit off of the surprise factor of these units. That is no longer going to be available here for DRG. Astrea knows that these are coming, and now he's going to be able to start fighting appropriately here. Has a Warp Prism into the back of the Natural with a little bit of a Zealot drop, killing off a few of these workers here, 3 in total going down so far, but now is going to be able to respond appropriately to these Locusts. Decent amount of Archons here will make quick work. Ooh, a nice little stasis trap here as well, catching some of these units and creating a little bit of implied Sim City to make this engagement a little bit more difficult here, and Astrea going to be able to use that shield battery overcharge as well.
I mean, mind you, the big issue there with the Locusts, they go and they don't get any value. And Swarm Hosts, I mean, we talk about Roach Ravager being a supply inflation unit composition. Swarm Hosts do that, but worse. Swarm Hosts, when they do not have their Locusts, they are 30 dead supply right now for DRG, which means that realistically, in terms of just straight up fighting army without the Swarm Hosts, this is a lot closer than you might think. It's 160 to 140 is more accurate, as the Roaches, you just see there's not a lot of them here. Finally, the Locusts are going to come down. You no longer have that shield battery overcharge, so they're just going to try and dive on top of the units. I think they are going to, yeah, there we go, find the surround. Immortal is going to be targeted. Disruptor shot is going to get a Ravager. A few of these Stalkers are going to fall down, and Dongregyu continuing to push this down. He's going to be able to find the second Immortal, but shield battery overcharge is back up. It gets sniped with the Corrosive Biles. And now suddenly it's 180 supply to 117. The counterattack in the main has gotten damage done, but it's only 3 drones that have fallen. Yeah, really needs to hold on to this 3rd base right now.
Whew. I mean, this is a lot of damage here from this Warp Prism, though. The Warp Prism is ferrying units back and forth here. And to your point initially, I mean, every time, oh, what a giant Disruptor shot going down onto the Roach Ravager here. The Locusts are now going to try and make quick work of these Disruptors, but really not going to find the damage that they need to, and a good Disruptor shot is able to capitalize on that. That's going to be 12 probes that do go down, and the Nexus finally does fall. But like you said, the point where these Swarm Hosts become dead energy and dead supply is this moment right here, and Astrea able to try and push forward here, thin out the Roach Ravager composition, while these Swarm Hosts just are not able to respond, and now the Void Ray gets brought into the fight. These are perfect cleanup units for the Swarm host, but the Queens will push that away. But look at this Warp Prism. It has just gotten relentless damage across the map here. It's keeping DRG on a low drone count.
Yeah, I mean, right now the Zerg being at 57 drones. Sure, you're able to apply a lot of pressure, but the longevity of this is no longer there, as the Queens are going to get sniped by the Stalkers. And when you're looking at trying to be efficient, Blink, Stalkers, and Disruptors, there is no better unit composition, and Astrea is very, very good at controlling them. Let's be careful, though, the Roaches. Find some good trades, but oh, that Stasis Ward. You know what this means, Rushi? As soon as that Stasis Ward goes off, you can set up Disruptor Shot to blow up all those Roaches as soon as they come out, and Locust gonna try and look for damage, but a really nice bait there. A probe brought on over just to make sure that they all land, and now their movement speed is much, much slower.
Oh man, I was so hoping, I was like ready for these to come down, but actually still get a decent amount of damage here. Locust gonna try and find some damage out at the 4th base location, but not gonna be near enough, and that is just so many units killed on the retreat for Dong-Rei-Gu. He's having to walk back with his tail between his legs, and what used to be a 60-70 supply lead here for DRG is suddenly now way more realistic here, 157 to 139, and that's still a lot of units tied up in these heavy supply cost Swarm hosts.
I mean, only 3 left, though. Astrea picked off a lot of them. That's why you see these supplies evening out now. As the Stalkers are trying to push, Disruptors, of course, can zone back the Roach Ravager. And again, you see just the weakness of the Swarm host right now is that in a straight-out fight, it's not really going to be that useful. It's best for backstabs, sending the Locust into the main base, into the 3rd, the natural, while the army is elsewhere. Dong-Rei-Gu never really did that, though. And so Astrea was able to constantly consolidate his forces, and as soon as the Locusts were gone, then he would commit to fighting the Roach Ravager. And now it's just looking like a much closer game and a much harder game for the Zerg to win from this position.
Yeah, these Stalkers do have a decent amount of DPS here with +2 on their weapon count. Zergling's not going to be able to get as much done, but DRG gonna try and fix that here with a +1 melee upgrade. And that's all alongside this Spire that's coming into the map right now. So we'll have to see what kind of units DRG wants to go for, and it is a ton of mutas, 13 in total, thinking that this shift here is going to be what he needs to capitalize on game number 1 here against his opponent. And Astrea is rather prepped, honestly. I mean, he's got tons of Stalkers. DRG feels like he's going to be able to capitalize on the map positioning and the map awareness of these units, so more than likely will be diving into mineral lines and trying to find damage at the bases, because if he is going to try and engage against this Stalker heavy army, he is going to find a difficult time against +2 Stalkers. But there we do see those mutas on the left-hand side of the map picking off the Oracle, which is going to help immensely, picking off the Warp Prism on the left-hand side as well. But it looks like DRG is going to try and strike where it counts, forcing a shield battery overcharge, and is going to begin the dance here of micro mutas.
Yeah, I mean, the real issue right now with the mutas, of course, is the fact that the Blink Stalkers are already a major part of Astrea's unit composition. He has 42 on the map, so the mutas, they're going to snipe the 5th base, but that's going to be about it. In return, you're losing your 3rd, or actually your 2nd base here for DRG. His actual ground army to fight is only 17 Roaches and 8 Ravagers. It's not that big, 15 Lings as well. It's a very, very small army in comparison. You are going to snipe off a Disruptor, but you still have to be careful with these shots. Loses 3 of his Roaches, and now he's going to lose a few more. That's a massive connection as DRG wants to commit on him. But just look how many Stalkers there are for Astrea. And how do you ever fight into this with Roaches and mutas? Stalkers do great against both of those.
No, and this army is going to be really, really confident to dive on in, as well as that 4th base location is now dangerously low. These Stalkers are just going to walk on in. These Queens don't stand a chance. It doesn't matter that they have 2 transfuses each. They're just going to fall immediately. This base is going to fall immediately, and now Stalkers are going to start working away on the Air Forces here. Giant Disruptor shot onto the Roach Ravager, taking apart DRG's teeth in this push, and as these blinks continue to go back and forth, the mutas have to fly into precarious positions, and it's too much for DRG to handle. GG is called, and Astrea wrangles up game number 1. The Protoss player currently 1 win away from advancing on to Season 2 of Code X. Playing for Alpha X, this is Astrea.
And in the top right from Team NV, Let's see if maybe he plays a bit more standard on this map. It is DRG.
Oh, man. Captain up here. Forcing another exchange. I would say that's something that we're seeing maybe more of in this series than I think we have seen lately, just in PvZs in general. It feels like Zerg players have kind of calculated the timing required, going down to even like a 15 hatch, just to make sure that this base goes down on time. And it seems as if we've been seeing less and less of that deflection over time. But right now, Astrea 2 for 2 in this current series. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about that. So good that he's going to go Nexus before Cybercore.
Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy for Protoss versus Zerg, and I think a lot of the reason why we've seen Protoss maybe stop doing this probe block on the natural is because when you actually do the math, the value that you're getting is not a ton, and really what ends up happening is the main reason why you go for it is because you have some sort of a build planned as a follow-up that can take advantage of this. Of course, in game one, that wasn't the case. Astrea just went straight into the macro, and that did him very well. But sometimes you'll see Protosses do this when, for instance, they want to go for glaive depths.
Yeah, that's true. And that's another build that I feel like we haven't seen an insane amount of. I mean, there was a point, gosh, what, in 2020, even early 2021, where glaive adept openings in PvZ, that was just the stock standard. We didn't even see Stargates coming out for quite some time. It was just that quick Twilight Council immediately into resonating glaives, and you would just see the dance of Protoss and Zerg taking place each and every game. But it seems as if right now Astrea not going to opt into that, at least for the short term. He's going to get a Stargate out once again. Wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up that Void Ray, as well as you did mention in the previous game that Astrea does enjoy keeping that as a part of his opening.
Yep, absolutely. And especially on a map that says Base Glittering Ashes, you really don't suffer from the delayed build time and the extra cost of the Void Ray. Just because this map is, completed shade, not gonna be able to find a drone. So you found a creep tumor here with that adept. That's already pretty nice for Astrea. But I definitely like the Void Ray even more on this map than on 2000 Atmospheres. It's just this, because the map is so large, it feels like that difference in the build time, it's really not going to be as big of a difference as it would be on a map like Berlingrad.
Well, 345 Nexus here is going to stay relatively on time with his macro, so we're not going to see anything incredibly cheeky here on the Protoss player. So both sides just going to hunker into a nice, quiet, calm opening here. I'm enjoying actually finally seeing the the Observer Plus overlay rocking on this. I mean, sometimes with these qualifiers, it can be hit or miss if they include like Game Heart or Observer Plus, and it is nice to see in this series that it was the casters were thought of. Titan, we're finally getting all the information that we deserve.
We no longer have to guess on the drone kills until we can pull up the units lost tab, which is a blessing. Does just make it makes our job just a little bit easier to actually talk about what's happening in the game, as we are going to see the immediate stasis ward triggered actually by 2 drones by accident there, but overall DRG not going to take that much damage, as this lane run by is going to try and find value here at the third. Knocks down a pylon, is going to force a cancel. That's 25 minerals down the drain. That DRG just going to continue to kind of shark around. Ooh, the Adept here is dangerous. A nice re-wall though. The Adept will still go down, so we just have to get on out of dodge. The Void Ray is here, and look at this build from Astrea. It's going to be double Stargate Phoenix, and this is very reminiscent to what you see a player like Hero do with his builds, where he's going to go with this double Stargate Phoenix, surprise your opponent, and then go into Charge Lot Blink Stalker. And I'm going to be really excited if that's what we see Astrea do.
Oh gosh, there was a part of me that thought maybe Astrea wouldn't even put down the the stasis trap here at the third base. DRG preemptively pulls before it even gets started, but does commit into that. It might even have had it just like shift collected in all sorts of ways. But yeah, I like this observation that you're making with the Phoenix here. This is something that could reasonably catch DRG off guard here, as he is going to get his lair finished up. It's a matter of what kind of follow-up he wants to go into, but if this ends up being a Spire, that ends up being a great position for Astrea. He just immediately has the counter to what DRG wants to do, but it does seem like it is Roach production for right now. +1 melee, though. There goes the Spire. DRG, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what Astrea has cooked up right now, and that could be very, very crucial mistakes here for the Zerg player if he doesn't quite find it out.
Yeah, and this is the strength of the build. You just drop it on your opponent. You're going to force out an extreme response from the Zerg because they're not expecting it at all as Phoenix production is continuing. But finally, the charge and the +1 is going to be the follow-up. And those Zerglings, they don't see the Phoenix. And we're not, I mean, DRG's not going to get confirmation until just now when suddenly there are Phoenix over on the creep and you have Roaches and your Queen count is sitting at 6, which is, I mean, it's something, but it's not as high as you would want it. Roaches are going to get picked off. DRG now no longer really going to be allowed to go across the map. Immediately more Spore Crawlers put down. So far, this is the correct response from DRG. Is lifts onto the Queens, but they are all there. So Astrea not going to be able to commit on in just yet. Going to look to try and get into the main, but DRG very, very good with these spores. The drone line, though, is still exposed. You just see the power of these Phoenix. 5 drones go down, a few Overlords, and DRG preparing for a counterattack here across the map, but you're going to have Warpins coming on through. You have a cannon, and you have a Void Ray that should be brought over. There we go, Astrea. Bring on over here for the defense as more probes are going down, or more drones are going down. The Queen getting low is going to get sniped. And these 9 Phoenix have absolutely gotten their worth in value, and look at that. It's forced the response. 7 Corruptors out from DRG, and that means that Astrea's ground transition suddenly is going to be a whole lot stronger.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the Corruptors are obviously a great response for these Phoenix, but you know what Corruptors can't hit, Titan? They can't hit charge lots on the ground, and by the time that DRG is aware of what's happening, it might just be too late, although he is going to get up here into the main base. But how much is he going to see? Is he just going to go straight for the mineral line, or is he going to see all of these different gateways that have been brought in? I think he's seen just about enough. Yeah, Roaches are going to be on the production tab, but will it be too little too late here? 91 army supply for Astrea to the 58 of DRG. That is never the kind of imbalance you want to see if you're the Zerg player in a ZVP.
Yeah, and this has been impeccable execution here by Astrea. Now going to be able to pick off more Overlords. Oh, the Corruptors are going to come on in. You have to be careful here with the Phoenix. Going to lose 2 right off the bat. Snipes off a Corruptor, but loses 3 Phoenix. But here comes the ground army, and again, it's charge lots. I don't believe there are Blink Stalkers with it, so that's just a slight difference. But you have Archons and Immortals, and guess what? Those do pretty well against the Roaches. So it's not going to be as scrappy as the style that Hero plays, but it's very much in a similar vein. And DRG just does not have enough. This base is going to be forfeit. And, I mean, if not the base, then potentially the game. DRG, he's down 20 supply against the Protoss. That is never what you want to see. His drones are falling. I mean, Astrea is just absolutely everywhere. It's Adepts in the natural, and that's GG. Astrea, a clean 2-0.